Hello, my friends! Welcome back to another episode of the Connery Interviews. Today, our guest is a noteworthy pilot who is a part of almost everything in the Devil Dogs. StormWolf, are you with us?
Coming in.
Thanks for being a part of this interview. So, to start off, let's talk about your past. Can you give us a quick summary of how you became associated with the Devil Dogs?
It's actually a little bit of a storied past. Originally, I was with a kind of grassroots community called Onslaught Company, ONSC, for those of you who are in the Connery NC. But after that, I kind of split off with a friend and made my own outfit for a little while. And then after that, I went to the infamous 108S. And after 108S kind of died down a little bit, the Devil Dogs ran an open squad. I hopped on in, and me and my friend joined up.
Alright, okay. So currently there's been more discussion in regards to the future of the Server Smash team. So one of the major concerns is how to select the right force lead for Connery. So what strategies would you recommend for picking the right force lead?
I'm actually not really entirely involved in the internal politics of Connery or the server reps and all that. But if I were to give my personal opinion, it would be as someone who has had experience leading, someone who is generally respected throughout the community, and someone who I feel is generally very organized and punctual and on point with their being able to attend meetings and making sure that everything gets organized the way that everyone is looking for.
Also, what do you think about the internal server smashes? Do you think they help with picking the right team or cause more internal conflict?
I think they can help with definitely picking the right team, as long as, everyone's there to embody the spirit of the event. That is, having fun, be competitive, growing as a community. And as long as everyone keeps their spirits up and, respects the spirit of the event, I think it can be a good time.
Oh, okay. So, talking about your experience with Planetside 2, are there any crazy moments that you've experienced that just scream Planetside 2? If so, please tell us a story.
Crazy moments. Well, as everyone knows, Planetside 2 is definitely a combined arms game. So I think one of the coolest moments has to be a coordinated strike between an armor squad, an air squad, and an infantry squad. All of them working together in tandem, kind of completing this cycle of combined arms. The air squad coming in and killing the armor that would kill our armor, then the armor destroying the Sunders, that enables our infantry to get on point, and then just all of that just working together in a fluid of motion to just take the base. Honestly, I can't tell you how many times I've seen those things just go beyond well, and it just makes me so happy to be a part of the game.
Are you having these moments often now these days?
Uh, as of late, they've been happening actually a little bit more than I would say I've seen in the past, surprisingly. I think there's been this idea that as Planetside 2 grows, or grows older rather, more of the experienced players stay behind, and the people who are more about communication and a lot of the stuff that people say makes up the core part of the game. And as those players stay behind, they get involved on like TeamSpeak servers or Discord servers, which means they're now communicating as part of a squad. And then in combined arms outfits, they're now working together with an air division or an armor division and an infantry division. And of course, they all work together, which creates that whole scene that I was talking about.
All right. And one thing that many feel needs improvement is the continent of Hassan. What do you think the continent needs in order for more people to find it interesting?
I don't actually play on Hassan that much, which I guess is part of your question, I suppose, to make me more willing to play on the continent. I suppose if I were to answer that question just right off the top of my head right now, I would say that more players, I would say more players, but the question is, how do you get more players onto that continent? And I'm not sure how to really answer that, to be honest. I don't suppose I've ever really put much analyzation, I suppose, into that idea.
What do you think about adding more life into the environment, like in terms of animals or more plants, like more interactivity with the game world? What do you think about that?
I think it would be cool, honestly. It would be amazing. Like when you say that sort of stuff, the first vision that comes to mind is something like Far Cry-esque, where you're like driving and say your tank, and there's like wildlife off in the corner, and the trees are alive, and everything looks really cool. It's super scenic and everything. But Planetside is kind of a memory hog as it is, and until the memory hog can kind of get, I'm speaking from a player, of course, like as a player who has a work computer, who kind of tries to play Planetside 2 on it already, but kind of suffers from this. the game just isn't all that optimized well, in my opinion. So until they can kind of optimize the game better and make everything run at a lot more faster pace, I guess, more frames per second, I don't think that any kind of detail should be thrown into the game more than it already is. It already looks amazing as it is.
All right. So, what's one aspect of the game that you think is annoying and needs to be removed?
Yeah, so here's kind of the funny thing that I always thought about. I personally always thought about with balances. You balance one thing, and then the person who got balanced eyes, they are now nerfed. So let's say, for example, like as an air player, let's take my perspective, for example. My perspective is that I die too easily to a sky guard or to an air ground to air lock on. Now, let's say, because I say this, the development team nerfs those things. Now I'm happy, but the people on the ground are pissed because they've lost some effectiveness in fighting off like air to ground farmers that are people always complain about, or they're they are now at a disadvantage compared to me. And so now, while I'm happy, the people who are fighting on the ground are not. So balance is kind of this tricky three-way circle where you nerf one thing, someone's happy, someone's not. And I think it's all about fine-tuning those values, like the math in the game, to get it to a point where both players are kind of at their quote peak happiness unquote between the two communities. In other words, there's a balance between the two. They are both equally happy.
So finally, last question. There are many things that like all servers share. What do you think makes our server, Connery, unique?
Honestly, and this is something I've put a lot of thought into, between, population and some people moving servers. I think there's just a community within Connery that I feel like I've become a part of. Originally, it wasn't that way, and originally I had no tie to Connery's. But over time, I began to realize that despite how much bickering goes on and the fact that, there's always someone's having drama over something, there wouldn't be drama if nobody cared. We're all here because we love the game. We've all stuck to Planetside 2, whether it's because we felt it was an experience unlike any other, or because we just love the gameplay itself and we feel like we prefer that over other games. But when it all comes down to it, I feel like Connery's community cares more than other communities. Whenever there's something going on in Connery, it always gets posted to r-Connery, honestly. Like, I mean, I'm speaking this from a positive perspective. Like, I can't remember how many times I've seen posts about, good crown fight, ironic as that may sound, or, good fight last night, NC. I feel like I've seen that so many times. And it just makes me feel happy. It makes me feel like I'm part of a community that respects each other. And some people might disagree with that, but I think that's kind of the core of what it is. We're all here because we love the game and we respect each other and just want what's best.
All right. So thanks for answering the questions with such great responses. Are there any other closing remarks you'd like to add?
No, not that I can think of.
All right. Well, thank you for coming to this interview, StormWolf.
Thanks, Action.
And to all the viewers, thanks for watching. Let us know what you thought of this video in the comments section below, along with any more questions that you want answered in future episodes. Please like, share, and subscribe. Well, I'll see you guys next Friday with another guest for another episode of the Connery Interviews. See you then!